The Isle of Man could be the site of the largest tidal energy project anywhere in the world, according to the government. An agreement has been signed that could see turbines being built on the seabed off the Point of Ayre, and with Infrastructure Minister Phil Gawne. First of all, you've described this as an exciting prospect or project for the Isle of Man. Why is that?
Well, I think it's exciting for a number of reasons. First of all the renewable energy that's available, the one thing you can be pretty sure of is the tide. It is obviously influenced by the sort of gravitational forces and of the sun, the moon, and everything, but it's guaranteed. Unless for some reason the Earth stops spinning around the sun and the moon stops spinning around the Earth and all that, so we're pretty much guaranteed that energy's there, and there's a huge amount of that energy. Of course, the tricky bit is harnessing the energy in a way that's usable for us, and if we can do that, particularly bearing in mind the location of the island and the strength of the tide that runs around the island, we've got a very good long-term solution to our energy problems.
Now, this would be the government leasing the seabed to a private company, wouldn't it? So you would be getting an income from that, just to put it in simple terms.
Yes, at this stage, all we're really looking at with Manx Tidal Energy is to lease the seabed and for them to then sell the energy. In the first instance, the energy would be sold to the United Kingdom. We have plenty of capacity on the island already in terms of the Pulrose Power Station and others, so we don't actually need any more energy. So at this stage, the easiest thing for Manx Tidal Energy is to export. But what we are hoping is that as the decades go on and we're looking for new sources of energy on the island, we'll then be able to tap into the Manx Tidal Energy resource.
And how will this create jobs in the Isle of Man? Well,
I think it's quite a major task. What's being proposed. I think the turbines will have to be fixed to the seabed. That's probably a fairly technical thing, which will probably require experts who've done this sort of thing elsewhere. But maintenance will certainly be available. Maintenance jobs will certainly be available on the island, and there may well be other sort of managerial and scientific roles associated with that. There are problems, of course, associated with tidal energy. There are no easy solutions to our energy needs. So the obvious problems are in relation to hazards to shipping, because quite clearly the turbines will be under the water. We can be reasonably confident that we'll get the right depths, but we have to be aware that perhaps if there's a rough sea, the sea goes up and down, obviously, as anyone who's been on the boat on a rough day will know. So consequently, the distance between the turbines and a level flat sea could be one thing, but a trough in a wave could be that a ship travelling could be much closer to the turbine. So we have to take into account all that. That's one of the issues, because we can't create hazards, navigational hazards, as a result of this. The other issue, which using my former role as Fisheries Minister, we have to be aware of, is impact on fisheries and indeed on marine biodiversity. But again, these are the things we've been working with DEFA to try to resolve, and obviously my own ports division in infrastructure, looking at shipping lanes and making sure that we come up with good solutions that are safe.
But because this is relatively new technology, isn't it? So things like the risk to the seabed, shipping and wildlife hasn't really been tested. I mean, where else does this happen in the British Isles?
Well, there are tidal energy projects elsewhere. The one obvious one that everyone knows about most people know about is at Strangford Lough. That was quite a highly subsidised turbine. It did work. It worked very well, but there's a very, very strong current that comes in and out of the loch, and it's a fairly narrow entrance. Our tidal currents aren't going to be as strong as that, but there are other examples around the British Isles where this has been done. And again, take my hat off to Manx Tidal Energy for trying to pioneer this sort of technology. They're certainly amongst the first. I wouldn't say that they are the first to do this in the British Isles, but amongst the first to try it. And you know, we're doing everything we can to work with them to help them along the way. Clearly, it's got to be up to Manx Tidal Energy in the end to be able to justify whatever it is that they're trying to do. So they'll have to demonstrate the safety, they'll have to demonstrate the impact on, or the likely impact on the environment, and they'll have to make it pay for them because there's no subsidy from the Manx Government with regards to this. There may be a requirement to get various support through the UK government, and the UK government is still supporting projects like this, bearing in mind we're feeding into the UK, or Manx Tidal Energy will be.
Okay, so you've signed the agreement now. What happens next? What will we see happen next?
Well, the agreement is basically an agreement to explore the seabed. It's effectively a license to carry out research and to really make sure that the project is going to work for Manx Tidal Energy. Quite clearly, they've already done the costings. They've worked out what they need by way of current to make it actually worthwhile pursuing the project, and that's what they'll be doing. They'll be monitoring the seabed. They'll be putting in speed counters to see how fast the current is flowing in a particular place, and basically getting all the evidence they need to be able to demonstrate both to themselves and to government that the project is worth moving on then to the next stage.
Okay, and finally, this isn't costing us anything then, is it? The government isn't investing anything into these investigations?
What we're doing, I suppose, is investing time. Quite clearly, officers have been involved in drawing up various agreements. We've been in discussion with Manx Tidal Energy, but in essence, that's a fairly limited involvement from Isle of Man Government, and certainly going forward from here, we're unlikely to be putting any funding into the project. That's not to say that something might come up at some point in the future where support is needed, and you know, requests can be made, but what the policy of the Isle of Man Government is very clear. At this stage, we are not, we are neither pro nor anti renewable energy, provided it can make itself pay, and there's no requirement for government support. Then we're happy to do our best to try and help things along.